Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lodestar's Lending Leaders. We have a special guest today, good friend of mine, Tom Verdi. Real excited to have you on, Tom. Like any good entrepreneur, you're doing about 8 different things at once. Every time we talk, I kind of learn a different one. So this is going to be a little different than some of our past podcasts where it's not as lending related, but I think it's very important with marketing, with a lot of what you're doing at FF branded. So I'll let you kind of dive into everything, but basically, Tom runs a video marketing company, does a lot of good work with businesses, and I want to really kind of explore, what it is, how companies can take advantage of that. So, Tom, I'll let you kind of talk about, the types of different things you did with the film fund to where you are now, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Thanks so much, Jim. Very excited to be here and talk about my
Mhm.
projects. I love talking about myself, so
Yeah,
this is the perfect
who
platform to do
doesn't,
so.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I started out with a company called the Film Fund, which I've grouped under a parent company called Discontent Media Group. And through the Film Fund, we run film funding contests for independent filmmakers who are looking for funding
Mhm.
for their short films. So through that process, I've built a pretty large community of real filmmakers who I now use to produce branded videos for other companies. So
Mhm.
if a company needs a video for their website or social media or really anything, I mean, the beauty about video is you can cut it into so many different formats like GIFs and still images, and you get behind the
Mhm.
scenes content. We use that community to create amazing marketing collateral for businesses who need a presence online or broadcast. I mean, they can really do whatever they want with the video at the end of the day. But my role in that is spearheading every project, overseeing everything, producing it, finding the perfect filmmaker from that community to pair with the brand, overseeing the script, sometimes writing the script depending on how hands-on we want to be. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
exciting. I quit my full-time day job. I guess it was February 2020, right
Mhm.
before
Yeah.
everything closed down in the
That was
pandemic.
when we
So
met, right as we were
yep, yep,
sharing an office space right before the world changed.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it was an interesting time, but
Mhm.
very excited. Things have gone well and they're
Yeah.
continuing to go well. So now I'm doing video marketing. Here we
Yeah.
are.
Hey, you didn't even mention directing and producing your own film and
No,
a
I didn't.
fellow proud alum of Lehigh University. So yeah,
Yes.
a lot of things there. And I watched one of the videos you did for a laundromat, and
Mhm.
honestly made me cry. It was like
Thank you.
the reaction. It was so wonderful. So I want to kind of dive into that where companies we work our clients that we work with are banks, mortgage companies, right? Very kind of formal conservative institutions.
Mhm.
How do you see companies starting to approach not just video marketing, but the idea of commercials versus videos versus really what you're doing, which is storytelling?
Mhm. Yeah, I think with those brands, whenever you're dealing with finance or money in any way, the
Yeah.
biggest thing is going to be trust, right?
Mhm.
With the audience. And what these videos, these branded films, as I like to call them, does is it really gets to the heart of what you're offering. And at the end of the
Mhm.
day, that's trust. If you're,
Mhm.
some kind of financial institution or you're doing mortgage lending, we want to get to the heart of that brand, figure out why
Mhm.
you do what you do, why you're so good at what you do, and we want to
Mhm.
kind of encapsulate that into a story that resonates with your customers, whether they're
Mhm.
more on the consumer side or your B2B. At the end of the day, you still have a customer and you still have an
Mhm.
audience. And a video shot in high production value really lends credibility to what you do. And when
Mhm.
we create a story, and story, that term can either be, you could do a documentary style video
Mhm.
where you have the founders of the company and you're talking to them about why they do what they do, how they started. Or you could do something fictionalized, a story that really portrays the brand. But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, we want to get to the core of what you're offering, why you're offering, and why you're offering it, and how you solve the person's problem, and in a story that really resonates with the audience.
Mhm. And how do you see companies approaching it, especially when it's something that's commoditized, as the mortgage industry is, as certainly a laundromat is, if you have thousands of competitors, right, including,
Mhm.
Quicken.com at the end of the day, how do you try to guide a company in saying what makes you different? I'm sure they need to figure that out too before you can even really start.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that definitely falls on the brand of a lot of the time, but
Mhm.
luckily, I have marketing experience as well. I used to
Yeah.
work in the agency, and even if something is commoditized, there's always
Mhm.
something you're doing that, even if
Mhm.
it's not different, it's still worth highlighting. So you
Mhm.
can still highlight those same benefits. You can still highlight the problem you're solving. You don't
Mhm.
always have to talk about, oh, we're so much different than Quicken because we do this better or we do this differently. You can just focus on the value that you do provide to your customer, your
Mhm.
consumer, and there's a story there. Whether five other companies are doing the same thing, they may not be communicating to their audience as effectively as you are with a story that highlights what you're doing. So it's all
Mhm.
about marketing. It's all about conveying that value, whether it's super different or not. I mean, ideally, it is different, and you can highlight that. But even
Yeah.
if it's not, I think there's still value in
Mhm.
pursuing a story there.
So it seems like the companies that do a good job with this have that kind of sense of self when they go in. If this is who we are, this is what we do, this is why people should give a crap.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a strong
Mhm.
foot forward for sure. Brand
Mhm.
identity is a big part of the game before you
Mhm.
start looking into advertising. But we're also happy to help with that. I mean,
Yeah.
our next client that we're shooting video for in a couple of weeks is a camera startup. They're very, very early,
Mhm.
B2C company. They're selling reusable, sustainable film cameras, and they're still
Mhm.
figuring out their brand identity. So we're
Right.
helping them kind of shape that story in what
Mhm.
they're communicating.
Mhm. And when companies are going through that, what kind of common mistakes do you see or pitfalls?
Pitfalls. I think being too quick to land on the value that they're providing. They're like, oh, we do X, Y, and Z. It's kind of their
Mhm.
gut reaction. Something I've learned through the film fund, actually, so more on the consumer side of things, the film contests, the original company I started with, we run film contests by, or I'm sorry, the entrants have to submit a 1 sentence pitch for their film. And
Mhm.
it sounds simple, like, oh, 1 sentence pitch,
Right.
it's easy. And it is easy, but it's
Yeah.
also really, really difficult. And in that
Yeah.
process of creating that 1 sentence pitch, kind of an elevator pitch, if you want to bring it back to business and entrepreneurship, it really gets to the heart of what you're
Yeah.
offering. So I think a pitfall can be thinking what you're doing already
Mhm.
and being
Yeah.
too quick to dismiss any value that could be under the surface there. And I'm
Right.
guilty of that too. Like when I was in my master's program, I went in with a company already established. And at first I took the positioning, like, I already know what I'm doing. I just want to scale this up. And they were like, okay,
Yeah.
pump the brakes a little bit. There might be something more valuable there. And that's where FF Branded came from.
I always find that interesting when you take a movie and you actually just poorly describe it in one
Yep.
sentence. Um, and you just, it makes you realize like how kind of important that is,
Yeah.
right?
And you're
Like,
clicking on the description to see
yeah,
what they
like
actually
Forrest
described it
Gump,
as.
man goes to Vietnam War, right? That's
Yeah.
barely, nothing, like
Yeah.
barely capturing kind of the essence of the movie. So it's just always,
Exactly.
yeah.
Or you could be like my dad and just
Mhm.
when he starts talking about a movie, he gives away the entire plot of the movie. I'm like, okay, can you just give me like the first part of this? But I'm like, now I don't even have to watch the movie. You just ruined
Yeah.
it for me. So
Mhm.
there's that balance in there too.
Mhm. And why even before a company gets to that point, why video marketing versus all of the other things that you can do right now with email, with phone, with text, with lots of companies in our industry are still doing mailers.
Mhm. I mean, mailers are, you mean physical mailers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it all depends on what works for your company
Mhm.
and your industry. And you can mail a video. They're doing video mailers now, which is crazy. But the thing I love about video is just how
Mhm.
versatile it is. Because even if you're doing a print mailer, you can
Mhm.
take those high resolution still images from the video and put them in your design
Mhm.
for the mailer.
Yeah.
You can put them in your newsletter. You can create a GIF from the video for your email newsletter or your
Mhm.
social media. It just video gives you so much content that you don't otherwise get with, say you start out to just do a blog post. You have a blog
Right.
post and you found some images online, that's great. But if you have a video, now you have a video about that blog post, you can do a transcription of the video or a video podcast. It's just so versatile and
Yeah.
it allows you to really emerge with a whole media package for different outlets, different
Mhm.
marketing channels rather than just one or two. It's just, I see video as the future, especially as we get, more and more connected to screens. And I could go on about the metaverse if we really want to, but video, to answer your question, I think it's the most versatile in terms of what content you get at the end of the day.
Mhm. I think it's the easiest to communicate too at the end
Mhm.
as well. When we have marketing meetings, they very quickly devolve into like what commercials have we got a real emotional
Mhm.
reaction to, whether good or bad, and it's always a video,
Yeah.
right? It usually winds up being what commercials make us cry.
Mhm.
Uh, at the end of the day, and I'm always amazed at the ones that kind of choke me up. That it takes 10 seconds to convey
Yep.
like, okay, it's Christmas. Grandma's dead. Grandpa's trying to figure it out. I guess I need Wayfair for some stuff.
Yep.
And that's a commercial.
It
And like,
sounds silly when you put it like that, but it
yeah,
is about
but
it's about
I will
emotional
send it
resonance.
to anyone who messages to me. I was crying. I cry every time I watch that commercial. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
it's
good
just
one.
you can convey so much so quickly, but also when it's
Mhm.
done poorly, you can piss people off so quickly at the same time too.
Yeah.
There was that faded Pepsi ad with Kylie
Oh,
Jenner.
the Kylie Jenner one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. that I actually used that as an example of a bad advertisement done by an agency when I was first formulating FF Branded. It was not done by a real filmmaker. It was not done by someone who understands storytelling. It was just completely out of touch with what they wanted to do. And that's why it's so important to understand the messaging and what story you're putting together. It's so powerful.
Do you think that kind of dissuades a lot of people, that kind of like swings and misses of other companies?
The chance to swing and miss? That's a good question. I think it really has to do with trusting the company you're working with. Most people I talk to about video are more excited than worried about what the outcome is going to be. I haven't really run into anyone or any clients who have said, I'm scared about this, because generally, at least how we approach it, if they do have a concern, we iron them out before we even start shooting. So we approve the script with them before we roll the camera. So there's really nothing left up in the air. And I would say that more excitement rather than nervous because of that.
And a lot of companies, we worked with a marketing agency for a little while this year, and when we were starting the process, they said that a lot of companies engage in random acts of marketing, as they call it, right? Like, let's do one campaign, let's do one email, let's one commercial, right? So even if you do one video and kind of tell that story once, how can you make it part of a bigger strategy? Because at least in my experience, consistency is the biggest thing, right? You're a fellow podcaster, have to put something out every week, because you don't really know what's going to hit or not, or when someone's going to listen or when someone's not going to listen.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about recurring content marketing. You want to attract. HubSpot's a great company. They do a lot of educational resources on this. I think they say attract, engage. I forget what the third kind of spoke in their flywheel is, but attract, engage, delight. You always want to be putting out new content, because once you attract those customers with the initial content or you're offering, then you need more content to engage them. And then I don't know what the hell they mean by delight. I can't remember, but basically what they mean is attract your customer, engage them with useful content, and keep doing so. So if you put out a one-off thing, that's great, but that's only the first step in the process. With a video, if you do make one video, pepper your content calendar for the next 6 months with assets from that video. You should really, and on multiple platforms, social media and different social media platforms within that, LinkedIn, or your customers on TikTok for the mortgage industry, maybe not, I don't know. But you always want to stretch the content and repurpose it into multiple formats. I mean, it might even be worth trying to put some of those assets from the video into something like an ebook. And have it downloadable if you use stills, and then maybe a little blurb from the video and something that's useful. So always repurpose your content. That's kind of rule number one when it comes to content marketing.
Yeah. And I think having that map and having that consistency is something that I think I found the most challenging, because there's never a truly a quick hit, right? Like the amount of companies that want an ice bucket challenge, or, the Peloton video, or something that absolutely explodes. Like, I'm sure the number of times someone goes to a marketing agency and says, I want something to go viral, right? Like that's not predictable. You're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah. We never sell on Virality. If that's how you pronounce that word.
But, I think so. It sounds good to
tough.
me.
We want to focus on, is this going to resonate with the audience? Is this going to make them cry? Hopefully that's sometimes the goal.
Speaking of virality, good. I listened to a really interesting marketing video podcast of the team that created Gritty, the mascot for the Philadelphia Flyers. And just how, this is very Philly focused, obviously, but just how much that blew up, right? Everyone saw Gritty. Originally, everyone in Philadelphia was like, what the hell is this?
What is this?
We hate it. This is stupid, right? But do you know what the turning point was?
What's that?
People from outside of Philly started making fun of it. So naturally, Philly said, screw you. This is our
defend ourselves.
You can't make fun of it. Gritty is awesome. Right. And now, like, the amount of earned media that it's gotten over the past few years, right? It was like the unofficial mascot of the Joe Biden campaign about a year ago.
Kind of like no one can make fun of Philly except Philly, Nobody
And
makes fun of
there
our
was a
friend except
French
for us.
newspaper covering the election, and people were writing in saying, "What the heck is gritty?" Because they
That's
saw
great.
so many things and like memes
Yeah.
with gritty in it. So,
Oh, that's so funny.
but I think to the extent they didn't plan on it being viral, but they kind of knew that people in Philly don't like people making fun of Philly if they're not from
Mhm.
there, right? Like only we can make fun of ourselves. So I
Right.
think, they had that emotion that they knew they were going to tap into. So I think that was for me the interesting thing
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about emotion.
with it. Mhm.
Right, extracting that emotion and really hitting the nail on the head there.
Yeah. And I think, tying it back to the industry that I'm in, there's home buying is a incredibly emotional process, right?
Mhm.
Leaving a home, buying a home, finding a new place, even just going through getting your hopes up, making an offer on a home, having it
Mhm.
rejected, right? And I don't
It's a
know if
life event.
companies, yeah, it's and one of the biggest ones.
Mhm.
And in many cases, I don't know if companies are really capturing that, right? Because I
Mhm.
think if you talk to the average mortgage banker, it gets emotionless at the end of the day. You're crunching numbers, you're worrying about basis points and things like that. There's a lot of math involved, right? It's not. I don't think companies really tap into that
Mhm.
emotion in the way they could, and I think that was the point I wanted to really touch on in this conversation, because this is a bit different from topics we really cover, but I think it's really important for folks trying to market any product of
Mhm.
how do you capture that, how do you kind of get that lightning in a bottle, because I think once you do that, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, I say a lot of the time, basic storytelling principles, conflict. Where's the
Mhm.
conflict? And it doesn't even have to be conflict with another person. It can be conflict with that stress, that internal conflict you have looking at these numbers, being like, oh my God, this is a huge decision in my life. Who's going to make this life event easier for me? And that's where you can kind of create a story around that. Just an off the cuff
Mhm.
example, but yeah, it's about
And to
figuring
your
out
point of
what that conflict
establishing
is.
that trust.
Exactly. Yeah. You
Mhm.
want to establish trust.
Yeah.
Look, we're gonna make your lives easier. This is how we do it.
Mhm.
This is what's important to you. We understand that. We're
Yeah.
here to help.
I was mentioning two commercials that I kind of have an emotional reaction to, and half the time make me cry. I think 90% of those commercials are financial planning companies,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
they're covering life events. They always do the same thing too. They have a kid growing up and the parent is always doing something with the kid, right? Whether
Mhm.
like marking their height on the door frame, or like sending or like writing a little smile on their applesauce or whatever it is. And then at
Mhm.
the end, the parent's gotten old, and then the kid is now a parent and taking
Yep.
care of their parent. And then that's where they get you.
Mhm. Yeah. That's classic story,
Oh yeah.
classic emotion, but it works. It's
Yeah.
it's and it's about making that unique to your
Mhm.
audience. They
Yeah.
know that that's going to resonate with you, so that's why they do it.
Yeah. Oh, moving on from kind of video marketing here, you were a serial entrepreneur at the end of the day. As I said, there's three different things you're doing at any point in time. I know you got a degree in entrepreneurship. We talk about it a lot in our conversations. When folks are starting out, you're working with companies like that startup camera company. What types of advice do you give people when they're first starting a business?
I would say one, make sure you're working on something you're passionate about.
Mhm.
Classic example, I started my company when I was in college, as we've talked about, and it was almost a completely different company. It was through this capstone course, and I was doing something about like it was this online search tool to find a surgeon if you're having an upcoming surgery, and it's super clinical, super boring,
Mhm.
and honestly, it was a great idea. But the professor pulled me aside at the end of the course, like after the last day. He's like, "I'm going to give you an A. You did a great job throughout the whole semester." But I had him again for the next course, the like
Mhm.
part two of the capstone course. He's like, "Next semester, why don't you do something you're actually interested in?"
Yeah.
Because like he was basically saying, "I know you don't give a shit about this." So sorry to curse. I
Mhm.
don't know what the rules are here, but
We're cool. Yeah.
so I would say one, make sure it's something you're passionate about,
Mhm.
and two, make sure it actually solves a problem.
Mhm.
Make sure you're doing something that's really valuable, because you don't want to be working on something for 6 months to a year. It's like, okay, it's done, and it's great. This doesn't really, you think it's cool. No one really has that problem. Doesn't really help anybody. So I would say work in industry or work on a project
Mhm.
that you're genuinely interested in, something you're passionate about,
Yeah.
and make sure it solves a real problem that exists.
Yeah, I find to that second point, all too often there's what I call the field of dreams approach. If you build it, they will come. People fall in
Mhm,
love with the technology or kind of a widget or whatever it is, and you're kind of a hammer looking for a nail, right?
mhm,
Opposed to finding the problem and saying, do we need a nail? Do we need a screwdriver? Do we need
mhm.
a wrench? Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So to your point, finding the problem first, I think is always a great
And
strategy.
to bring it back to video
Yeah,
marketing, um, or any kind of marketing, really, that's going to help you tell your story so much better to
yeah.
your customers. If you're actually passionate about what you're doing, marketing is going to be a breeze because you're going to want to talk about why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to challenge you on that, right? About being
Okay.
passionate about what you're doing. Cause like I think that's a little more nuanced sometimes. Like I'm
Hmm.
not passionate about mortgage calculators, right? I'm not,
True.
I think we have a great solution. What I am, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that's true.
Yeah.
But I guess challenging my own point, maybe contradicting myself a bit, you are passionate about the process, I think, of
Yeah.
running a company and building a
Well,
company.
or growing a team, right? Growing a
Hmm.
business, solving problems, right? So
Yeah.
there, I think you do have to sometimes be a little more nuanced in what you're looking at because
Hmm.
a given application may not necessarily be all that exciting, but I think if there are parts to it that you
Hmm.
do find interesting and do find challenging, I think that's important because at the end of the day, um, I had
Hmm.
one of my co-founders at the time. I remember starting the company. I said, I think we'll be doing a little bit of everything. And he goes, no, I think you're going to be doing a lot of everything. Right.
Hmm.
And that was true. Right. I think there's so much that you need to do. And you really have to love the grind because if you don't, if the everyday of the business isn't the reward in itself, you're just going to burn out. So, Tom, question we ask everyone: what gets you excited? What gets you up in the morning? Very curious about your answer because of all the different things that you're working on.
Yeah. I
If you
mean,
do
with
sleep, I
that,
mean,
no, I do. I definitely value sleep. Life balance is very, very important to me. Try not to work weekends,
yeah,
but probably the thing I look forward to most in the morning is my coffee. And
hmm
then that's what I get excited about, honestly. Then once I have that, I kind of get into my planning mode, and
hmm
then I get excited about what I'm working on. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
hmm
I've been thinking a lot about kind of mental health and work-life balance and how to start my days. And getting my coffee and sitting down and creating my list is actually kind of the thing that excites me. It's like, all right, what do I get to tackle today?
yeah,
And then with that, I think comes creating new things. To give probably a better answer than coffee and list making, creating
hmm
new things is once I get centered, and I'm writing those things down on those lists. It's like, okay, now I get to create this. Now I get to create
yeah,
that. I hate getting bogged down in processes that can be automated. I'm always thinking like, okay, is this how I should be best spending my time? Is this activity revenue generating? Is this
yeah.
activity creative? Is it fulfilling? And when I'm like, I have a one initiative that has a backlog of 230 submissions we need to post to our website.
hmm
It's nothing bad. It's just a non-revenue generating initiative.
yeah,
And it's like, okay, I don't want to be spending my hours
yeah.
posting these submissions. So how do I automate this to get to something more creative?
I think that's the danger sometimes with the to-do list. I love making lists. That's how I'll end the day. So I know what I'm doing when I start. And I
Mhm.
think that process is really important. But I notice once something gets on the list, even if it's not that important, I'll want to cross it out. Right. So
Right.
you have to kind of guard what or I found with myself of what gets on there and what doesn't. Because
Yep.
then I'll pick the five easiest things, do them real quick, and think I'm being productive.
100%. Yeah, I totally agree there.
Mhm. But definitely, I think that process is important too. People think of mindfulness or meditation. They think, you're sitting in a room checking your breathing. But I think even just doing something as simple as having a cup of coffee quietly, making a list, something else that you're doing mindfully. For me, if I have to, wash dishes or cook or anything like that, like don't have something in your ear, just focusing on the process.
Mhm.
The process can actually be a relaxing thing and
Yeah,
meditative in its own way.
Jim, I'll tell you what, if you like washing dishes, you can come over to my apartment and help me out because I hate washing dishes.
I have about 8 baby bottles a day to wash these days too, so I'm
Oh
getting ready
man,
to practice. So,
that's funny.
yeah, but well, Tom, thanks so much for coming on. Is there anything you want to plug anywhere folks can find you if they're interested in the stuff we were talking about today?
Yeah, so like Jim said, I always have multiple projects going on. If you want to check out all of them, go to discontent.media. It's discontent.media. You can find all my projects there. The thing I'm probably not probably the thing I'm most excited about though is FF branded, creating these branded videos for other companies, branded films as I like to call them. So if you need a video, if you want a Facebook video or a video for your website or literally any kind of video that can be crafted into a compelling story, we can help you out for your brand. Just go to ffbranded.com to check that out, learn more about us. I'm always happy to hop on a phone call or a Zoom call or whatever kind of call you want. Google Meet.
Like I said, I was blown away. I know you had mentioned you're doing a video for a laundromat. I was like, oh, I'm curious to see. I thought it was going to be pretty. How exciting can a video for a laundromat be? And I was absolutely blown away by it. So
thank you so much.
Keep up the good work. It was a pleasure to have you on, and thanks so much.
Appreciate that, Jim. Thanks so much for having me.